powerful episode of Pleasure Principles. I'm your host Avik, and today we are diving into a topic that too often gets swept under the rug or worse, like silenced entirely, which is sexuality and aging. Yeah. So, dear listeners, we live in a culture that celebrates youth, but what happens when we move into our 40s, 50s, 60s, and beyond? Does the desire fade? Or is intimacy no longer possible? Or uh, could this second act actually be the next chapter yet? Right? So, to guide us through these powerful questions, I have with me an extraordinary guest, Karen Bigman. So, welcome to the show, Karen.
Thank you for having me.
Amazing. So, dear listeners, before we delve deep into the discussion today, I'll quickly love to introduce you with Karen. So, Karen is the host of Taboo to Truth, Life and Sex After 50, a certified sexuality educator, menopause coach, and relationship guide who's breaking the stigmas wide open, with humor, warmth, and wisdom. And she reminds us that pleasure doesn't retire, and neither should we. So, why to wait? Let's get started. Welcome to the show again, Karen.
Thank you very much. Happy to be here.
Amazing. Uh, so, Karen, many people assume that sex and desire just end after a certain age. And in your experience, is that a myth or truth?
Oh, definitely, it's a myth. Well,
Yeah.
I think it can be the truth for some people, and I think it's
Hmm.
the script that was written. Excuse me, is the script that was written for us that tells us that it is, and so we start to believe it. But the the myth is that the truth is that in fact it does not end, and it changes.
Exactly. Exactly. So, I mean, uh, if pleasure actually changes rather than disappears, how can people reframe those shifts as the opportunities instead of losses? What do you have to say?
I think it depends where you are in life and what your
Mhm.
relationship status is and your physical status is. There's a bunch of different things, starting with the physical. When it comes to women, menopause changes, your hormones change a lot, and it affects your libido and it affects your ability to enjoy sex. Often it can create issues with pain that make you not want to have sex anymore. Or if you've lost your libido, you kind of figure, well, I don't I had my kids, I don't need it anymore. So that's the first thing is for women in particular is to make sure that, they take care of the hormone changes in their body through hormone replacement therapy and checking in if you've got pain issues. You wanna make sure that there's nothing medically wrong and trying to work on those. When it comes to, the physical, issues that men face, often erectile dysfunction is a big one. In fact, 40 it's like starts even earlier. 40% of men in their 40s, 50 in their 50s, etc., will experience erectile dysfunction. There are other issues such as Peyronie's disease, which can worsen as you age. And in both cases, for men and women, the physical issues with aging. So there's all that. You want to be in good health because you're not going to enjoy your sex life if you're not in good physical health. uh, that being said, there's an expression that Dr. Mohit Kara uses, who's an expert on male sexual dysfunction, and he says that your sex span should be as long as your lifespan. So it's definitely something that you can do. When it comes to the emotional side of it, I think what often happens is we shut down because we're physically not enjoying it anymore, or we're not wanting it anymore, and it really affects the intimacy with our partner. We start to get in our head, whether it's women thinking like I'm fine without it, or men thinking, oh my god, and they're getting in their head and worried about the fact that they might have an issue with erections. It's kind of trying to work those through and understand that because it happens once didn't mean doesn't mean it's going to happen every time. And so there's the physical, there's the emotional, and then there's just finding new ways to enjoy intimacy, whether it's solo play or learning how to be more creative with your long-term partner to continue into an active, sex life. And understanding that it's not gonna be the same as it was when you were in a new relationship in your 20s.
Very true. Very truly said. Yep. Yep. I mean, I really love that because seeing sexuality as evolution, not the expiration, um, it definitely reminds the everyone that intimacy at 60 might not look like 30, but it can be just as thrilling, maybe even more authentic as well. So, yeah, and uh, like you often say that libido is more motivation than magic. I mean, if you can just unpack that, like, yeah.
Well, okay. So, what I'll explain about libido is we have this again, it kind of goes back to it's the Hollywood myth of, you meet somebody,
Mhm.
you're absolutely crazy sexually attracted to them, you get into bed with them, you have wild, crazy sex and multiple orgasms at simultaneously, and it's just this wonderful experience. But the reality is quite different. So, desire actually is can be and becomes over time what we call responsive. When you meet somebody and you've got that, like, whole new energy, new relationship energy, and you're totally attracted to them and you wanna jump their bones, that is more of a spontaneous, desire. And so what happens over time in relationships, and it's usually something like 6 months to 2 years, that spontaneous feeling of wanting to be with your partner kind of goes away. And so you may think you're not interested in them anymore, but it's not that you're not interested, is that you need more to get to that point. And this happens a little more for women because men are more visual. They can see their partner and right away they're ready. Where a woman might need a lot more to get first in the mental space and then to get in the physical space of really being aroused to enjoy the sexual experience. So libido, there's that emotional side of it. It kind of goes back to what I said before, and then physically, you do need certain hormones to be in the right place, particularly, and this is for women as well as men, is testosterone plays a huge role in your interest or your libido, and also in your ability to orgasm. So for women don't always realize, we've kind of gendered hormones, but we have, in fact, I think women have more testosterone than men when they're younger. It just converts to estrogen. And for men, the testosterone it does go down, but it goes down much more gradually. So they won't necessarily have the same libido issues as quickly as women might during the menopause years or perimenopause years.
Exactly. Yeah. So, okay. I mean, if someone feels like their drive has gone missing, what are some of the practical steps to reignite it? I mean, whether alone or with a partner.
So the first is to make sure that your hormones are in check. So that I mean, and I can just give my own example. What happened with me was not as much that I lost my libido, but it was that I lost my ability to orgasm. And this was when I got divorced and I was finally out with the new partners and really having a good time. And so the when I did finally end up in the right medical practice, it was a combination of, the testosterone that had really gone down that I needed to bring back up.
Mm.
But the other thing, and this goes to both solo and partner pleasure, is I learned about vibrators, and that was life-changing for me because I was, I think, 52 or 53 when I went to this practice, and I never knew, that vibrators were so great, and I also, the female anatomy, we don't really learn. I don't know what it is in the rest of the world, but in North America, our sex education is sorely lacking, and men definitely, even women, we don't learn about the clitoris, which is our organ for pleasure. And, most women require clitoral stimulation to, orgasm, and so, uh, if you're not having a penetrative experience, or even if you are, but that becomes more and more difficult for you without clitoral stimulation, it's gonna be harder. So introducing a vibrator, and for men as well, can be like a really fun tool to bring into the bedroom or just in solo play, and once you learn how your body works, then the fun begins.
True. Yeah. That's really powerful. I mean, it's not about waiting for the desire to strike like lightning, but creating the right conditions. So, yeah,
Exactly, exactly, well
mhm,
said.
yeah, and so like long-term relationships often struggle with intimacy over time. So for that, like, what strategies, I mean, do you recommend for couples who want to reignite the passion after years together?
I think there's a lot of things. If they really want it, I think that's step 1. If both parties are saying, "We wanna do this, but we're just, like, not in the mood anymore." So it's communicating. What can we do? I have a class, I call it Hotter, Wiser, Wilder Adult Sex Education Education for Adults, sorry.
Uh-huh.
And I talk about, the first part is communication. I have a yes, no, maybe list, and, there's a lot of those you can download from many sites, just Google it, but there's all kinds of things that you can try, and some of them are a little racier than others, but you can sit with your partner and say, okay, like, this is like, no way, this is too crazy for me. I won't do it, but maybe this is something we can talk about and new things, whether it's simple things like adding sensation play to the bedroom or reading erotic novels to each other, or even they have you can listen to erotica now, ethical porn, watching porn together, trying different things. And at first, it's kind of uncomfortable because what often happens is you lose those conversations, and the longer you go without them, the harder it is to have them. So you have to start with a conversation, and then you can start to think about like what are the things that we could slowly or gently introduce. And it may be something simple, it may be something a little more kinky, like bringing in some more impact play, or different, tools, handcuffs, whatever it is that you're both consenting and comfortable with. It may also mean like, let's see what else is out there that goes beyond our bedroom. And for some people, it's whether it's going out to a play, what they call a play party, or a sex party, or a kink club, trying to just see what's out there, maybe as a voyeur, not necessarily participating. I've met couples that decided to open their marriage entirely and bring in other people. Again, lots of communication ahead of time to make sure that everybody's understanding of what that really means, and just opening the and lastly, what I'll say is opening the conversation around what sex is. Does sex always have to be what it was
Mm.
when we were young? Does it always have to mean that we like start with the same script and then we end up, with intercourse? Can we expand our definition to way beyond that and call that sex too?
Mm. Wow. So, like, is there any first step like you would recommend tonight for a couple, like listening who feels stuck in routine?
I think typically what happens is one party's listening and the other isn't. So I would say, tell your partner, today I listened to this woman who's a sex educator and she's 62 and she's having the best sex of her life. And I want that. And how do we get there? So that's step one. And sometimes you need to bring in, a third party like a sex therapist
Mm.
to really help you have the conversation because it's so uncomfortable. But if you're not ready to do that, I find that, difficult conversations are often best had, number 1, out of the bedroom, and number 2, when you're, like maybe when you're walking or you're sitting in the car. I know my ex-boyfriend and I used to have our most intimate conversations in the car because when you're not looking at each other, it's easier to say things that are uncomfortable. So just starting the conversation around, like, how do we make this and without accusing, without telling the person that they don't do this and they don't do that and our sex life sucks, really, like, remember how it was, or I would love to be able to get back something. I don't want to step out of the marriage. I want us to do something that will push our boundaries and bring us closer together ultimately, because the more you
Mm.
communicate, the more sex you have, the more sex you want, and it just becomes something like I love when I see older couples and they're, like, totally connected and holding hands, and you just know they have a really good sex life, whatever that means to them today. Excuse me.
True, true, definitely. Uh, and love that because sometimes it's not just about the grand gestures, but simple acts of attention, curiosity, that breathe life back into the bedroom. So, yeah, definitely. And uh, if you could leave our listeners with one bold truth about sexuality and aging, what would it be?
don't give up on sex. It's such a fun and important part of who you are and your overall health and your connectedness to to yourself. Excuse me, wow. All right, sorry. It's such an important part of your, connectedness to yourself, to your partner.
Mm.
It you kind of the world lights up when you have an orgasm, right? Like, all these happy hormones are coming to you. So I would just say, like, don't let it be something in the past. Let it be something that is just part of your life.
Totally. It's amazing. And um like and what's the one mindset shift like you wish every person in the midlife would adopt when it comes to pleasure?
That we deserve it. I think we deserve love, we deserve money, we deserve certain things, but we don't think we deserve sex, especially for women. And I think we all deserve pleasure.
Mm, true. Exactly. Wow, I mean that's inspiring. Like pleasure doesn't have an expiration date. I mean, in fact, it may be just deepened with age, and if we give ourselves permission to explore it fully. So yeah. So, Karen, I mean, thank you so much for bringing your wisdom, your courage, and your voice to this conversation. And you have reminded us that aging is not a barrier, but it's an invitation to rediscover intimacy, curiosity, and joy. So, for all the listeners who's listening, like if this conversation sparked something in you, don't let it fade. Talk about it. Talk to your partner. Explore your desires, or just by simply asking yourself, like, what does pleasure mean to me just right now? And remember that sexuality isn't about the age, performance, or the perfection, but it's all about presence, curiosity, and the connection with yourself and with others. So, Karen, if someone wants to connect with you, what will be the great medium?
Yeah, so my podcast is called Taboo to Truth: Life and Sex After 50. It's on all the podcast platforms, it's on YouTube, and my website is taboototruth.com. And I have a masterclass, as I mentioned before, that just created and launched in July, which is packed with information. It's just for the listener who's trying to get sex back on the table. And if you want to reach out to me, please feel free to do so also through the website.
Amazing, lovely. So great. And dear listeners, what I'll do is I'll put all the links into the show notes for your easy reference so that I can easily reach out to Karen. And um, this has been Pleasure Principles. I'm your host, Avik, and I'll see you next time where we keep breathing down taboos and opening doors to the deeper and more authentic pleasure. So, thank you so much.
Thank you.